Hello, everybody. 1 2 1 2. How you guys doing today? Let us start up this chat with Trazana Staples. I have to bring her in, so give me 1 second. What's up, Bob? How you doing today, bro? Yeah, we're gonna have a little discussion. I have a friend of mine that's gonna get on here with me. We're gonna talk about uh, our journeys as a stroke survivor and also some healthy remedies, not necessarily regular medicine that you have out there, but holistic medicines that we can actually get in and deal with this stuff. Hey, Trazana, can you get on? I sent you an invite. Did you get the invite? Are you able to get in? Hey, Gabby, how you doing today? Get started with our talk. So I hope you guys are ready for this. I'm pretty excited to have this dialogue with Trazana, to have this great dialogue with her. Hey, Trazana, how you doing today?
Hey, Greg, how are you? Peace, love,
Hi,
and light.
I'm well, sister.
I'm
So,
good.
so basically, you know, I've been seeing you on Instagram and I see you on Facebook, and I see that you do a lot of holistic stuff and you are very knowledgeable on that. And I also learned that you had a stroke back in 2007, actually a month before I did in 2017. I had mine in November, and I guess you was in October. But can you tell us about what happened with you, the effects of this stroke, and also we'll get into our chit chat of what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, well, my stroke, of course, most strokes don't have warnings. I didn't have a warning, and it was, I didn't have any of the symptoms. Well, I think my speech was slurred because my dad had died. We buried him. I came back to Cincinnati. I was in Chicago, back to Cincinnati on a Thursday, went to work on Friday. My mom called and she said, "You don't sound good." That mother's intuition, that mother's love. I said,
Yeah.
"Mom, I'm okay. I'm just tired. I've been exhausted back and
Right.
forth on the road." And she
Right.
said, "No, I need would you please go and check your blood pressure?" So, Greg, I teach people how to live. Well, I did how to live healthy, sustainable lives. And
Right.
so I had blood pressure cups and everything. I could not find them. So before
Really.
I got off the phone, my mother called my son. My son came over and said, "Mom, come on. Nana wants me to take you to get your blood pressure checked." Now, I
Right.
didn't have any blood pressure issues. At least I thought I didn't have any. Went to the emergency room. They said your blood pressure is extremely high. They kept me in the emergency room for about 12 hours, and probably about midnight they admitted me in a room because my blood pressure would not come down. Now that was
Mm-hmm.
on the Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
By Tuesday morning, between Monday night and Tuesday morning is when I had a stroke. I had to be transferred. So I had a stroke 3 days after I had went to the hospital. So I had to be transferred to UC Medical Center because the hospital that I was in did not have the equipment to determine what was wrong with me.
So you
And
saying
that's when,
UC, that's Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati?
yeah, that's
Okay.
where I was transferred to.
Mm-hmm.
The first hospital I was at was Fairfield Mercy, and they transferred me to UC Medical Center on that Tuesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was in ICU for a day. Then they put me in a regular room and transferred me to Drake Center, which is rehabilitation hospital here. I was there for 44 days. Not to be, go all the way through my stroke journey, but I'm told by my neurologist and the doctors who were attending, because I didn't have any underlying conditions, my stroke was a cryptogenic stroke. So I went back, after I spoke to you, I went back to my medical records, and there was a brain bleed, but
okay.
but the bleed contained itself. It didn't spread, but I bled in two different spots on my left side of my brain, which affected my right side. It also affected my communication center. So, as you know, I talk a lot. I like to talk about things I have passion for. And my stroke affected my speech. So I had to have speech therapy. Because of the stroke, I have aphasia. So sometimes it's hard for me to say my words. Sometimes it's hard for me to convey exactly what I want to say. It's not as bad as it was when I had my stroke. I just had my 3rd year stroke anniversary, but I still have some issues with it.
So that's an interesting thing. Like, I have that same type of problem too. It's not necessarily aphasia for me. I think it's my thoughts. I can't focus properly. So when I converse with people, a lot of times people don't understand what I'm trying to get across. Is that what you're speaking on as well?
Yes, yes, and early, because I mean, just like most people, I guess, from my experience, I knew people who have had strokes. My maternal grandmother and my mother and my brother has had strokes. So, but they had strokes in different places in their brains, and they did not have the same effects, because a stroke is different for everybody.
That's a great point. That's a great point, because a lot of people automatically assume, well, that person had a stroke. Well, they're not a paraplegic. They're not a quadriplegic, and they can talk, they can walk. Nothing is wrong with them, but they don't realize is that when you have a stroke, it's not that you're brain dead. You have brain damage, and your brain takes control of your whole entire body. So there could be different parts of your body that's not functioning right, and the other parts that's functioning well. And just because your speech is right doesn't mean that your mind is right or your thoughts are right. And a lot of people don't understand that concept. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and because and then a lot of times you can't see, like my brother. My brother is 6 years younger than me. He had his stroke over 25 years ago when he was in his 20s. He was changing a tire in the hot heat, which we'll talk about stress, because it was the stress that caused his stroke too.
Well, let's get into that.
Okay. So he doesn't have any effects of his physical effects of the stroke, but people don't understand that strokes are brain injuries. And, people,
if people don't understand that, people don't grasp that concept. And that's the major reason why we lose friends, our relationships deteriorate, because people don't understand exactly what's going on with us. A lot of times, like for me, for instance, when I try to articulate myself to people, I know what's going to happen. I know that sooner or later, once you deal with me for a long period of time, I'm going to get you so upset that sooner or later you're just going to be completely upset with me. We lost Miss Staples. Hopefully she'll get back on, and she turned it back on. But that's the thing that we, as stroke survivors, it's crazy. It's like basically we have to explain to people that are sane that we are not well. And that is the hard concept for me to actually grasp, especially as a man. I'm like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I am the head of the household. Yeah, I am a man, but I need you to be able to protect me. I can't do that for you anymore. You need to step into that role. And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that concept because they see you well, they see you walking, they see you talking, they see you have a conversation. Like none of those problems is bothering you. And welcome back. Are we good?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're cool, you're cool. But that's the thing that I wanted to talk about, that the stress issues, especially in the black community. I had a situation that I was talking to a black man, and he told me he had some mental issues, and I basically told him, I said, hey, you need to see a therapist. He was like, nah, no, us Caribbean men, we don't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't do that? You keep all this internally inside? That's destroying your body. What you're doing, you think you're helping yourself, you think you're being strong, but you're actually being weak. So a lot of times when we deal, especially in the black community, I'm not sure for a black woman, you could talk about that, but for a black man, we think we can't vent to anybody, we can't complain to anybody, we got to keep all that in, and all that anger, all that stress, all that anxiety that's building up is doing something to your blood that's actually maybe making a blood clot or actually making an aneurysm within your body, and that is terrible for us. So we're trying to tell you, from people that actually had strokes, had brain bleeds, that stress is not a good thing. It's terrible. Can you explain from a woman's point of view, a black woman's point of view, how that can actually mess you up, and what type of things that society does?
Yeah, I think for the record, and
Mm-hmm.
as far as melanated people, it's
Mm-hmm.
for us to seek out therapy for anything. So people don't like to speak to therapists. I have plenty of my good trusting people who are psychologists and psychiatrists, but I believe in therapy because
Absolutely.
because you have to be able to talk to someone, speak your mind, talk to somebody who's not biased, and that helps to relieve a lot of stress. So before I had my stroke, and years ago, I didn't know much about yoga, meditation, and I started uh, doing yoga, meditation, and qigong and things like that nature, like back in 2010. But when I had my stroke, because my dad was sick, I was running an organization. I had, just family life itself. I was not doing those things to help me alleviate stress. I kept like the
Mm.
bunny, kept going, and didn't take time out for myself. And when you stress, at least for me, I'm usually a healthy eater, but when I'm stressed, I eat comfort foods. I'm
Yes.
a
Processed food, high sugar content foods, all that stuff that's destroying our bodies.
yeah,
Absolutely.
wine, chips, and that would be my meal. I wasn't walking, I wasn't exercising, I wasn't
Yeah.
hiking, I wasn't riding my bike. I was just going
Mm.
to work, hitting the road, handling everybody's else's issues and problems, and wasn't doing anything for me. And it's
Trazana,
very
I want to go back to something. I want to go back to something that you was talking about. Let's go back a little bit. We're talking about that therapy stuff, and you say that you was an advocate of that, and also an advocate of learning how to deal with yoga and meditation and all that. What do you say to people that don't believe in that stuff, and what it actually do for you, as in to help your body, meditation and therapy?
I would tell them just to try it. Just take 5 minutes of your day and just
Yeah, but I'm a guy, man. Doing yoga or being submissive and sitting down just waiting for 20 minutes to think about things. What is that doing for me?
it only takes a thought, because
Mm.
when you can you can calm your mind. See, our minds and our brains are two different entities.
Okay, break that
Our
down.
brain, I would say the mind is more of your spirit. And
Okay.
you have this mind chatter that's constantly going. I internalize pain. I wasn't a crybaby. I wasn't a crier. I didn't talk to people unless I sought out therapy, talk to therapists or something about my problems or what was bothering me. Because
Right.
everybody else was coming to me to talking to me. So I was internalizing. I internalized sadness, sorrow, everything was kept in. So meditation and yoga and physical activities helped me to release all of that stuff I was internalizing. But when I stopped doing that, it didn't have anywhere to go, like a teapot. It kept building up pressure. I can
And
look
nowhere
back
to escape.
now, huh?
And nowhere to escape.
Yes, nowhere to escape. And I can look back now to see what I wasn't doing leading up to the stroke.
Mm.
It was all stress because it wasn't my diet. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have high cholesterol. I
Pure stress.
it didn't have the major diseases that
Just pure stress.
people of color suffer from. I
Right,
didn't
right,
have
right,
it, but the
right.
stress. So when
Right.
if we don't take care of our stressors, you can have a stroke. Not everybody, but it'll happen. And
Like for me, that's the same exact thing we're talking about. Like I didn't have any issue. I had a physical, I was perfectly fine. But they said I was conceived with a rare disease in my head called AVM, arteriovenous malformation, and it was bound to rupture. But I was the night before, I could tell you, I was stressed out.
wow.
I was driving a truck. I was supposed to pull it from Gary, Indiana
Mm-hmm.
to Atlanta, Georgia. I got there, it wasn't there. So I had to waste my money to go up there to get it. And then I had to sleep in my truck in the middle of November after Thanksgiving, in the middle of winter in Gary, Indiana. That's freezing. I had to sleep in that truck overnight. And then the next morning, boom, I had the rupture. So yeah, a lot of stress built up over and over and over years and years of things that, like you was talking about, internalizing other people's problems, bringing that in and nowhere to go. And then all of a sudden, boom,
And it can
what do
come
we
from
do about that?
it can come
Meditation.
from childhood trauma. If you don't
Absolutely.
like, if you had any childhood trauma, or a trauma could be your parents getting a divorce. Um,
Mm.
it could be a trauma from a bully back in your elementary school,
And you never
and
process it. Yeah.
yeah, and if it has never been processed, it grows and grows and grows. And so the next
Oh, man.
trauma is built up on top of it. So you end up having a big old ball of stress and not knowing
See,
it.
you're bringing up stuff to me like you're preaching to the choir right now, because I'm looking at this and I'm listening to you. I'm like, a lot of black men, not to put anything on our black queens or anything like that, but a lot of black men have to, take the role of that leader, that strong man, and then we get with a woman that has these issues from her childhood that she never processed, and now she's putting that issue on us, and we have nowhere to go to actually to let that pressure out. Then all of a sudden, boom, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Because you're supposed to be
How can we
strong.
prevent that? How can we prevent that in our community, man? We need to actually be more proactive with allowing women to not be ashamed if she's promiscuous, and not be ashamed if she's been raped as a child, and now all of a sudden she don't know how to, to find love, and she finds love through sex. We can't shame women like that, because once she finds a man that really loves her, all that pressure, all that built up anxiety is actually going to be delivered onto that man, and somebody's most likely is going to suffer a stroke.
Exactly.
And we
Exactly.
don't think about that at all. At
Exactly.
all.
And
I
then
want to talk to you about a little bit more. Let's dive back a little bit. Let's talk about after you had your stroke. What kind of things were out there for you as a stroke survivor for your rehabilitation? It was anything dealing with your body, your mental state, things like that. Discuss that with me.
there was, after I had my stroke, and when I got out of the hospital, because I was in a hospital for 44 days, and there was nothing except, my insurance paid for 4 months of physical um, physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. But
Right,
other than that, there was nothing. And so after the 4 months was over, I had to, pay for my physical therapy. And then there's another thing. Once you have, depending on the severity of your stroke, and it's out yours, I remember listening to your story on your videos.
mm-hmm.
Everything. I mean,
Everything sound like yours, huh?
I thought I was living on top of the world. Couldn't nothing, I was gonna live forever. I
Right,
traveled, everything
right,
from, I'm a single woman, dated when I needed to or when I wanted to, but I traveled, and that was,
right,
that's what I wanted to do. My goal was to retire at the age of 50. I had my
right,
stroke at 50. I'm 53 now.
right.
Um, but there was nothing in terms of services to help me, and I had a whole lot of, outside of the idea of having the stress, I had stressful related things that happened. I had to move out of my apartment because it was not handicap accessible, disabled accessible. I didn't know where I was going to go. I ended up going back to my mom's house, and she had her bathroom remodeled for me. Um,
Crazy.
I lost my car eventually. I lost my job. I had my stroke in October, and on January 2nd, 3 months later, I was separated from the organization I was the executive director of. I had a lot of legal issues because I didn't have money. I had to utilize all of my savings just to take care of me, because that was important. I said, "Bump y'all,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, 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 yeah.
can't do that. I gotta take care of myself. So come get the car. I have no money. I'm
Same
at
here.
home." But
Same here.
after I got through the initial depression from having a stroke, the anger, and that was
Mm.
months I've gone through that, and I began to remember, because at first when I had my stroke, I couldn't speak. I didn't remember too much, but the memory started coming back. The language began to come back. I was able to begin to recognize numbers and patterns and letters so that I can remember to read. I'm an avid reader. So, I mean, that period that I had to allow my brain to adjust, it was like, shoot, I mean, what am I supposed to do? My biggest asset is my gift of gab. I can't even
Mine
do
too.
that.
Mine
Everything's
too.
on.
So let
That's
me ask you something. Let me ask you something, because you're touching on a couple of things that I find pretty interesting. Um, when this was happening to you, because most likely a lot of people are going through that same thing, because I went through the same thing too. But when this stuff was happening to me, I felt like everything was normal. I felt like I could walk. I felt like that I really did have great thoughts. I thought that when I was speaking, it was clear to people. And I like to summarize it as saying like if a person's been to jail and they've been in isolation in jail, and they know they can't get out. That's basically how we feel within our body. Our mind is like, yes, yes, we can do this, that, but our body is not. So it's like a lifelong sentence in jail. Do you feel that same exact way? Is that a good analogy?
Um, well, yeah. It's like this too. Um, in my mind, I felt like I could do all of those things. Nothing
Right,
changed.
right.
It was I tried to transfer what was in my mind to my mouth or to my hand. My
It
first
did it well.
my first night in the hospital, I had no idea I could not walk. I fell flat on the floor. I do
No
not.
bueno.
Nobody told me I had a stroke. At first, they didn't
Right.
tell me. My mom knew. My children knew, but the doctors, they didn't tell me I had a stroke. I just didn't know. Everything I learned when I had the stroke came from my family telling me what was going on with me. I didn't know I couldn't talk because I wasn't. I was just shaking my head and
So you didn't feel any pain or anything like that? Did you pass out when you had the stroke?
no.
Really?
I had my stroke happen when I was sleeping. I
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a headache
Really?
or anything.
Really? Okay. I
Outside
had a complete opposite effect, but
of
okay.
yeah.
I was driving and I had a massive headache. I was talking to one of my friends. I used to have a podcast and I couldn't do it anymore, but I had a podcast and I was telling my friend, hey, you need to start the podcast early. I'm going to be late. And then after I got the phone to him, I talked to my mother and I had this excruciating headache. And this headache was so bad that nothing would alleviate. I started drinking water, nothing alleviated. And then I pulled over and she told me to call 911. And then all of a sudden, my left side of my body just froze up. Everything just spasmed up. And I'm like, wow, I felt like I was having a heart attack. And then when the ambulance came, the guy tried to put me on the truck. We're on the thruway now. And it's
Wow.
just, luckily the ambulance was, catty cornered behind my truck into the slow lane in the highway. And he pulled me out. And they didn't have a stretcher for me or anything. He just pulled me out. He said, come on, man, walk. I'm like, walk. I'm trying to. He didn't even understand I had a stroke. So like this stuff that's happening here with us as people that have strokes, there is not, I guess, a proper protocol for even emergency workers to understand that this person had a stroke at this particular age. Because I was 41 when this happened, and if you can look at me, I'm a big guy. I'm 250 pounds, 6'4". So they don't think that something is wrong with me. It can't be wrong because I'm a big guy. And then all of a sudden, something's wrong with me. So there's not proper protocols for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have another story I wanted to share with you as well.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is just because this could happen that if you don't have proper insurance, or if this happens because it's in the Black community. I don't know. I'm not even going to go there with it, but I'm going to have to bring it up because this is something that I hear. I know this young lady. She had basically the same things that I had, an AVM rupture, and she said she had surgery, and then they let her loose without anybody taking her home. So she said she walked from the hospital to her house. Then she couldn't figure out where she was, and she fell asleep outside.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I said. I'm like, this is crazy.
And
But
this,
that's the thing. That's how people deal with the stroke. They don't understand how in depth this is for people that survive strokes. Because normally people die, or if they have an aneurysm, they die. So if you survive and you're a young person, what happened? How do you deal with it?
ooh, I tell you this. At first, what I had to do, and I'm going back to the yoga and the meditation. Even if
Mm-hmm.
a person doesn't want to do yoga, I would hope they do, but not I understand. You have to For me, I had to stop my mind chatter. I had to stop that chatter in my mind, like, this is over. My life is not going to be worth nothing. You know, I'm not going to have the same quality of life, and yeah, and all those things. But I had to, once my mind started remembering who I was, and what I started doing, I started using my phone to record myself.
Mm-hmm.
That helped me to form my words, and it helps me to go when I go back to listen and see how far I've come, because I didn't think I was going to ever get better. No one ever told me I was going to get better.
And they give you a timeline, right?
Oh, they didn't, because everybody's
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
the same. But my
Mm-hmm.
neurologist and my chiropractor, I have a neuro chiropractor, told me you will get better. How better you, the your progress depends on you. So I have to
Right.
work out and do something every day. I have to do my speech exercises. I have to do my physical exercises. I have to walk. And because of the COVID, a lot of things have changed, because I was going to acupuncture. This was very helpful with my stress. And
Really?
acupuncture was awesome. And it was like your body is going through a detox, but in a calm way. It just made
Right.
me so relaxed, because my first 2.5 years, it was hard for me to sleep, because I was afraid that if I slept, I might have another stroke. So,
Because you in your sleep.
yes. So I was taking cat naps for 24 hours. But I had,
You bring something in my mind with being saying that. That's bringing up something in my mind too. Is like when we have these strokes, and like you're basically telling me right now, they deal with your physical body, but they're not dealing with your mental. So you had that anxiety of, I might have a stroke again when I sleep. And you had to figure out how to, compensate for that or learn some tactics to get around that. That's pretty deep. A lot of people, when you get into the hospital and and then you get out, they don't give us any information whatsoever. I'm telling you, if anybody in the audience could prove me wrong, please do. But they don't give us any information about, okay, you had a stroke. This is how you're supposed to deal with your life. They don't give you that. So now we have to figure that out on our own. And if you don't have proper insurance, now you don't have therapy. You have to pay for therapy on your own. If you find the wrong therapist, oh man, now you're discouraged and you don't want to go back to another therapist because you think they're crazy and they think
no,
you're crazy. So this stuff is really, really bad. Like, I'm glad that we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have these social media groups that we can actually talk and have these conversations and allow people to understand that they're not alone. And
exactly.
I don't know about you, but for me, for like 2.5 years, I was in a fog. I'm a father. I was a husband. I made over 100 grand a year. Like you said, you was an executive for an organization, so I know you make good money. And then all of a sudden,
It's
boom,
gone.
I gotta be on welfare. Like, this is completely new to me. I went to school. I paid my taxes. I had money. I'm used to going exotic places, and then my wife like, oh my gosh, I don't believe I'm supposed to be here. And now I gotta be like, uh, can you give me $1? Like, this is our life now, and it happens overnight. And a lot of people get depressed and they
Yeah,
don't know how to cope with it. And nobody teaches us how to cope with this depression.
that's
They teach
depression.
us, okay, move your hand, move your head. Okay, man, that works. Okay, you're good.
Exactly. The stress, the having the stroke was a stressor. So we talked about the things that can happen before a stroke, and
Yeah,
then
okay.
you're still stressed because you're stressed because of the stroke. Like in my case, I ended up moving out of my apartment, but then they turned around and tried to sue me because I broke the lease. Um, my car, my job, um,
They
having
treat you like a vagabond.
yeah, then having to go back home, and people were looking up to me, and then the people that were coming to see me in the hospital, I never saw them anymore. They worked so.
Oh, let's talk about that. Don't go any further. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about those different phases of having a stroke. First phase, everybody's sorry, feeling sad, they want to help out. Then all of a sudden, they disappear.
They
And what does
disappeared.
that do to your psyche?
All all except my cousin Kim and my
Right,
mother, and my son. My son was there, and my daughter was there as well. It
right,
was like four
right,
people over hundreds. I just know I knew, five or six, seven friends. But in terms of when I started coming out of the depression and the stress, I remembered that people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And I had to determine who those were.
right,
And then I started writing affirmations to myself. I'm
right,
healthy. I'm wealthy. I start putting the sticky notes all over my room.
right,
So every time I looked, I remembered who I was. I remembered my greatness. And so when my brain started getting stronger and all the depression began slowly leaving, and I'm talking 6 to about going into the first year. And so during my exercise at home, listening to music, meditation, like just sitting still and keeping my mind, just knowing this is not the end. This is the beginning. I'm going to get better, and I get better every day. The first thing my son taught me when I first had my stroke, he said, "Mom, say I'm getting better every day. You are getting
hey,
better every day."
I love that. I
That
love
was
that.
every day. So
Words of
he was
wisdom. Words of wisdom.
every day. And so that's what I say to myself still. I'm getting better every day. And
There's
those,
a lot of people that don't do that. I'm
yeah,
glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because basically what you're saying, and I'm confirming that as well too, is that your words are powerful, and the way that you put out words into this universe, it comes back to you. So if you put it out like, "Hey, I'm a piece of crap, and I'm never going to be able to walk again," that's what's going to happen. But you
yeah,
put it out those words like, "I'm beautiful, I am strong, I'm smart, I can articulate my words, I can do all these things." Then your body's gonna follow because your mind is what we're trying to heal here. And that's the thing that a lot of stroke survivors don't understand too is, well, my arm is messed up or I can't walk. Forget about all that. We're talking about our mind. Our mind is the most powerful tool that we have. And if
yes.
that is discouraged, then nothing's gonna work.
And
So
when
that is great that your son has done that. I'm so happy and proud of that man actually doing that for you, man.
the
Applause
the
to him.
the, and the therapists were telling me there was nothing else they can do. I probably would never be able to speak again for people to understand. I probably would not be able to walk again. And I was like, that was another stressor. I had to,
Negative words from people. Yeah, absolutely.
from especially the medical staff and
Yeah.
the medical people, they really don't know because everybody is different. Everybody is different. And I refused to allow a book or a person to tell me what I cannot do. So I go back
See,
to my meditation.
that's why I wanted you on this show. That's why I wanted to talk to you, specifically you, because you've been through this. and you are educated. You have graduated with honors in different type of degrees. You understand what it was before, and you understand that, you know, the medical profession. Yeah, they're great. They can help us out, but they haven't experienced it. We have
Yes.
experience. So this is very important to give back out. Like you said, you have a foundation. Talk about your foundation real quick about what you're trying to do with it.
So last year, I had my first um, stroke recovery banquet, and I
Oh,
started
let's
my
let's pull that up. Let's pull that up. Let's pull that up. All right.
because I from my stroke support groups, my facial support group, and my online support groups, very few people look like me.
Right.
And I was making all this progress. And many people I have talked to, like, how are you doing this? And your stroke was so severe. I had a massive stroke.
Right.
Because one, I didn't give up. Two, I had to alleviate my stress. I don't allow people with negative vibrations or energy to come around. I don't, I,
Ooh, you waking me up now. You waking me up now. Come on now.
if it ain't positive, I'm not having it. With all the
Come
stuff
on
going on
now.
now that you can see with the cell phones, I turn it off. I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
I engage in all that. I don't watch TV. I try to um, have positive thoughts, music, movies, everything. It's not that I
Isn't
don't
that just
know
for stroke
what's going
survivors? It's for anybody that you're talking about here, right? Keep on
on.
going.
Yeah,
Keep on going.
because you can your subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and imagination or TV or television or movies. And so
What you
when you
feed your body, what's going to come back into you. Yep, yep, I get it. That's what you
young
become.
young women getting killed by police, we internalize that. It brings on stress, brings on trauma.
Yep.
It's not that it doesn't happen. Yes, we know it happened, but you got to make sure you're not in it watching this stuff all the time. That has a lot to do with your mental health.
Yes, it
And
does.
the
People don't
food,
realize that.
yes, and the food that you eat has a
Absolutely.
lot to do with your mental health.
Hold on, look at okay. Hold on. Before you even go into that, tell us the name of your website and everything before we go deeper inside of that, because people might want to get more information of what you're talking about. Tell us about you guys.
My website is TrazanaStaples.com. It's the Trazana A. Staples Alternative Stroke Recovery Fund. And I formed that fund last year to help people who have had strokes or caregivers to help people who have had strokes to utilize alternative stroke methods other than what we have been told in the hospitals. I believe,
Preach,
I believe that
preach,
modern medicine and holistic
preach,
health can coexist, but we
preach.
take our wellness, our stroke recovery into our own hands.
Okay.
When I was in
And
the
what's that
hospital,
website again? Spell that website for us, just in case they don't know how to spell it. Spell it out for us.
TrazanaStaples.com, TrazanaStaples.com.
Thank you very much. So,
Greg,
so, so, yes,
when I was in the hospital,
yes.
their nutritionist came to me every day because I would not eat that food. The hospital, horrible.
I know what you're talking about. I definitely know what you're
I'm
talking about. It was garbage.
sorry. I don't, I can grow my own food. I don't need this stuff. So unless my children brought me healthy food in, I wasn't eating the hospital food. So I was fast. And then my daughter
brought me some CBD oils, and I had my crystals on my bed, and
Ooh,
they were bringing me my health.
now we talking. Now we get into the nitty gritty, the CBD oils and all
They
that.
also
Okay, let's
helped
go.
to release the stress, and it helped
Yes,
my brain get stronger.
yes.
Because it was hard to do these things in the hospital. But when I came home and I started to remember, and my cousin was always reminding me, her name is Kim, I think she's on the live too. She kept telling me the
Mm-hmm.
things that I used to tell her before I had my stroke, and she reminded me about the things that I needed to do.
Mm.
And I mean, we have to feed our body, mind, body, and spirit. And so if we like I said, I'm a junk food eater when I get stressed, but I have to be mindful. I can't do that because I
Right.
have to make sure my brain is strong. It can't be strong with potato chips.
Yeah, because I don't think people realize that your brain and your gut is really attached, and what you put into your gut affects your brain, affects your thoughts, affects your actions. You know, if you're sluggish, your body's gonna like your brain's gonna say, "Hey, you sluggish, go to sleep," because you're eating junk food and it's putting you to bed. People don't understand that. You know what kind of energy you put into your body affects your brain as well and your mental health.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly. It has a whole lot to do with your stress levels.
Yes.
We we as we as a society are on crack, sugar and baking soda. Is in that processed foods. When the COVID started, if you went into the grocery store, nobody was getting the produce. Everybody was getting the processed foods. And I'm like,
All the fruits and vegetables are still
yeah,
there. Yep. Yep. You're right. You're right.
so we have to not only in terms of alleviating stress, we have to be healthy through what we put in our mouths. And you have to be healthy with your thoughts, because you can be the most healthiest person in the world and still have a stroke if your
Yeah, what's
thoughts.
the name guy from school? Michael Clark, that big guy from the Green Mile. Didn't he die from stroke?
Yep, Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
Who else was it? One of the directors. What was his name? um
Uh, he just
John.
recently died.
Yes, John Singleton.
Yes.
Singleton died of stroke. I mean, and if you had a stroke and you're still alive to tell you had a stroke, we have a second chance. And so we have an opportunity a second time.
We're the ambassadors.
Yes, exactly.
So what I'm hearing you say, Trazana, is basically that, basically what we put in our minds by watching TV or influence of negative or negative vibrations, what we eat, and what kind of stress that we internalize can bring about these strokes that we have. And by
Yes.
eliminating those things, not saying that you can get rid of strokes altogether, but we can actually bring down
Minimize.
the curve of people falling into that predicament of having a stroke.
Exactly. And then if you
I got
do,
you.
you
I got
can
you.
always, in order, because I'm gonna tell you, it's, you already know, it ain't for the weak at heart.
No, it's not. I don't wish this on my worst enemy.
To recover from a stroke. And
I don't wish this on my worst enemy.
yes,
On
I
my
would.
worst enemy, I would know.
Well,
Because
I don't know.
I'm trying to think about it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know any other disease that you can be completely cured of that still affects you. Like, I know I'm not having a stroke right now, but I have the ramifications or the lasting effects of a stroke. I don't know any other disease that is completely gone from your body, but you still feel the repercussions from it. I don't know any of this. This is bad. It's a lifelong sentence. It's bad.
I mean, the stroke recovery is for the rest of our lives.
It's crazy.
We'll never not have to work out every day.
You're right.
Because I don't know about you, when it rains, my body aches.
Mine too.
My body is very stiff.
Mine too.
And my chiropractor explained that he's a neurochiropractor. I think I told you. His name is Dr. Mike with Apex Chiropractic in Cincinnati, Ohio. But he showed me when a brain has had a stroke, eventually that matter in your brain falls away into your blood system. So your brain has to find another path to do certain things, and sometimes it's compromised, like my speech, like my walking, or when it's cold, or if it's raining. I mean, it's not raining here today, but I can feel it because it's coming. I can be the new, but I can tell that it's going to rain. I can feel it.
The best way I try to describe this to non-stroke people is imagine their skin and they have a scar. They got really cut deep wound into their skin, and then also the skin turns into a scar. Yeah, it's healed, but you still see that scar. That scar is there. That part of the skin is always forever going to be damaged. The same thing with our brains. Once we have this stroke, that part of our brain is damaged. It's pretty much gone forever. And now we're trying to rewire it, so we always have that scar. It's invisible, but we have it.
That's
and like I don't know how. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's an excellent analogy, because even with those days, I feel stress coming on because I can't walk and move the way I want to. I can't talk. I mean, sometimes my speech is so I don't even know what I'm saying. It's hard to get the words out. And that's stress. That's stress in itself, because you can't move your body or articulate words and things. And so music, I listen. I wake up in the morning. When I do my meditation, I do my yoga, I go outside if it's not too cold. I play music. I listen to music. I love music. I mean, I love all kinds of music, but I listen to positive vibrations, reggae, jazz.
Slow down. Reggae? You into that Jamaican stuff? You be winding out there. You be winding. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, Queen.
It's healing, and all of those things help us to release stress.
Yes.
Because
absolutely,
stress is really about your thoughts. And everything manifests from a thought first. So the thing is to get it's not to ignore them. We want the thoughts to leave. We don't want to manifest those things. And a stroke is a manifestation of anger. So I internalize a lot of anger.
Well, let's say that again, because that was pretty deep. I never even thought about it like that. A stroke is what?
Is a manifestation of anger.
Mm.
And when we're angry, we're not flexible. And what happens when we have a stroke? We can't move. It's hard to move. That's a
it's like a computer crashing. It's too much stuff going on. The computer just crashes, just gives up.
Exactly.
Wow.
And
I never even thought about it like that.
music and dancing helps me to,
Puts you in the mood.
yes,
Absolutely.
and bring in the positive and the negative goes. And I'll forget what I was upset about. That's why I will not be around people who upset me.
Okay, now we're going to a different thing now. I like this. Hold on. How like for me, I don't really know how to do that. Like what you just said, you don't like to be around people that upset you. How do you um tell people that they are upsetting you without being mean to them? In other words, let me try to clarify what I'm trying to say here is that there's a lot of times, like you said, there was one person, one doctor in the medical field basically told that you wasn't going to be able to walk again. You know, that to you, you didn't want to hear that. That was negative energy to you. Like, nah, I can't subscribe to that. No, that's not working. Like, how do you basically tell somebody that you are bringing down my vibration without really being mean to them?
Well, it depends on who it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody loves you, they would listen. Now, just because I don't agree doesn't mean I don't love you. But if you keep coming to me with all your negativity, your garbage, your gossip, I have to love you from a distance. And and that's when I have to speak up for myself. And if you don't love me enough to listen to what I'm trying to say, I have to let you go.
Nikki, I hear your question. I see that there's a question coming up there. I'm gonna get you in a second, but let me let's really dive into that. So you have these people that coming around you, and now they need to listen to you. But you said you had aphasia. Now you're trying to articulate that to them, and they don't understand. And we might, and no, I did. I internalized like, why you didn't do your research? I can't articulate this to you, and this pisses me off. I don't want to deal with you.
Right.
So, how do you deal with that? Like, what do you tell people that's like, because they're being in the earlier phases. We passed that phase already. But how do you help somebody in that earlier phase that deal with people like that and they don't understand? What are things that you suggest them to do? Maybe write it down, or what is your thoughts?
Try to write it down. Use technology, like at first, because I'm right-handed, so
Yeah.
it was hard for me to write, but I was able to transcribe onto my computer or my phone. I can speak it, and most of the time it would understand what I was trying to say. Send an email. But what it boils down to, Greg, it's about love. If that person loves you and you love that person, they have to be understanding. But if
You
they
know
don't,
what? You know what? You know what? That's the deepest thing, because like I don't know, maybe you was already in touch with your energy and how other people affect you, but with me, after the stroke, I became extremely in touch with energy. I could tell if someone had bad intentions. Like your words didn't mean anything to me. It was your energy, how you actually approach me, how you touch me, how you tried to heal me. I could feel that. So your words didn't mean anything anymore. So that is a great point. Their love for you, I could dig that.
yes.
But I have a question. Nicolette Adams is asking a question. Now I'll let you answer this. Can you prevent a stroke or redirect energy? I think those are two different questions, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I wouldn't. You could probably. I wouldn't say you can prevent it, but there are things you can do for prevention, if that makes sense. Because, in my case, my stroke, I didn't have a notice like you didn't, Greg. I never knew that I was going to have a stroke. So no, that couldn't have been prevented. But I could have taken, now that I look back and I know that it was stress, those are some measures I could have taken to not allow myself to internalize the stress. I could have been more vocal with telling people no. That was one of the things that was hard for me to do, to tell people no.
That's
And
one.
then,
Okay. I'm
go
listening.
ahead.
I'm just putting my
And,
finger up to say that's one thing.
yes.
Not being passive aggressive.
Yes. And I wasn't passive aggressive, but when I said no, or it was, and if people some people will try to run over you if they feel that you are not mean. And then when I mean, you are not gonna like me when I'm mean. So having to tell people no, choose you first. You can't help no one else. And like they tell you on the airplane, put on your oxygen mask before you
First.
can help someone else.
Yep.
Finances will cause a lot of stress. Live beyond your means, because now, since my second chance, some things ain't even important.
I don't care about them either.
Yeah, I
I
was
get it.
not.
I get it.
I wasn't the person with the bling bling, or wasn't the fanciest dresser, But I love to travel, and I liked exotic things. What I can't do anything with them now.
Right.
Just to
You can't take
have,
it when you die either.
yeah, can't take them when you die. So what's really important? Is the big house that important? As long as I have a roof over my head.
Yep.
I had to learn the hard way. So what is important? So if you understand these things, it will help reduce and relieve the chances of stroke. Eating healthy. Eating healthy. Drinking plenty of water. People will reach for a can of soda and before they reach for a bottle of water.
Right.
It's the best thing you can have. Fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Alleviate the processed foods. Because, like, I'm not trying to make anybody be vegan, but think about it. If a cow or a chicken or whatever, a pig knows they're about to be slaughtered, they feel energy too. They internalize the what's going to happen to them, and when you eat it, you eat their energy. When you're eating their meat, you're internalizing their energy.
Their stress.
That stress.
Their toxins.
You are what you eat. You are what you eat. So
I like it.
And then just be active, exercise, and it don't have to be lifting weights or going to the gym. It could be something, just walking, or go outside in the grass on a nice warm day. Put your feet in the grass, breathe the fresh air, hug a tree. I mean, those are some things that will help alleviate having a stroke. It might not be 100%, but if you can do some of those things, the chances are you will not have you don't have that great a chance of having a stroke.
It's
And,
lessened dramatically. I agree with that.
And you won't have all the health issues either that our people suffer from. The high blood pressure, the the high cholesterol, the cancer, because all those things like white sugar, white foods cause a lot of those things.
I'm gonna break it down a little bit even further than what you're going. Especially in our community, we as a people need to get rid of pettiness. You know, if you are at a bad job and your job is stressing you, you might want to find a different job. If, in your relationship, if you have a child with somebody and you're arguing back and forth with the baby father or the baby mother, for what? You know, you're destroying yourself. You're destroying the child. Get rid of this pettiness and also the passive aggressiveness. You know, if you don't like something, let somebody know. Don't try to hold back because you're scared to hurt their feelings and you're hurting your feelings inside. You know,
Yeah,
live like you telling us, Trazana, live our lives. You know, stop trying to live this dream of saying, you know, I need to have this house. I need to have this car, and putting all that pressure on you to actually go and work 80 hours a week to get those things. The most
exactly.
important thing to you is your life. Everything else is irrelevant.
It is.
Irrelevant. Trust me. Like, and I don't know if you can attest to this, but with me, I thought I was gonna die. When this happened to me, I thought straight up death, 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 death. And when I got to that point, I didn't think about any of my negative things. I didn't think about jealousy. I didn't think about anger. I didn't think about being petty with somebody. If someone did me wrong, I didn't care. I welcomed death. Death was at the door. I'm like, okay, I'm good. So when I came back from that, I made a vow to myself. I'm like, when you're going to die, if all those negative things is not in your thoughts, why do I live my life with them? A waste of time. So those are the things that, to me, and the things that you said, Trazana, those are the things that should be eliminated for your life to eliminate or bring down the actual causes of stroke. Now, before we leave, because we've been on for a long time, Trazana, I love your energy. I love what you're bringing to this table. I love what you're doing with the movement, with your organizations. Please give us your information again. Give us your Instagram information, your YouTube information, so people can know where to find you.
Okay. Well, Greg, you gotta be a guest, a reoccurring guest on my channel as well, because
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, to finally meet a stroke survivor such as yourself, and then we can share the same thing. Because I tell you, my story was a little different because I was in the hospital and my
Yes,
stroke
ma'am.
happened when I was asleep. So I didn't, I didn't have that, oh, I'm gonna die. I was like, excuse my French, I said, fuck.
No, I get it. I
I,
get it.
I wanted to die after it was over.
Right.
But my life wasn't going to be the same. But I tell you what, my life is much better now because I have been in both worlds. The old me is gone. I'm a phoenix. I'm
The Phoenix Rising.
I'm a phoenix rising. I'm rising through the ashes. I'm coming out a new creature.
Amen. I like that. I like that indeed. Yes, indeed. I like that.
Improved their my touch, my sight, my talk. I have learned to um choose my battle. And the battles that I choose have to do
Excuse me.
with nobody else. It's me. I'm the
It's
queen.
only you.
I'm the
All
queen.
hail the queen. All hail the queen. All
So,
hail the queen.
but everyone can find me at TrazanaStaples.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Trazana Staples. My YouTube is Trazana Staples as well. So everything is Trazana Staples, and just it's not too many Trazanas, so you can find me.
And guys, like I was saying before, Trazana is a great help for our community. This sister is based out of Ohio, and she has a lot of wealth and knowledge that she had before her stroke. So it's not this experience that she has from a stroke. She has all this holistic information that she had before she had a stroke that she's actually bringing to you guys. Please check her out. Please follow her. It's a great sister. She's part of this community. She wants to make this community grow. She wants the Black community to grow. She wants the stroke community to grow. She wants us to be informed. So please support her. Bring her information into the world. Also, guys, I want you guys to know that you can find me, AVM_superhero, on Instagram. Also, I do the caregiver basket each and every month for caregivers, stroke survivor caregivers. If you want to check that out, I put that on Instagram as well. And I also have my YouTube channel at AVM Superhero on YouTube. So I check you guys out. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you so much, Queen. Thank you for allowing me to actually listen to you and talk with me. I feel so blessed to find you, and I thank the universe for bringing you to me. Thank you, sister.
Same here, Greg. Thank you so much. And how do
Love
we
you,
donate to you? How do we donate for what you're doing?
Well, if you guys want to donate to me, I'm not into that website stuff and trying to get to the government or something. I'm really trying to just get straight money to the basket. So if you want to donate with me and get one of those T-shirts that I have, hold on, let me show you these T-shirts if I can find it. I can't find my T-shirts. I have my AVM Superhero T-shirts. So if you actually donate with us, you'll get one of these T-shirts. You could just donate to me. Just basically get to me at my Instagram page and direct message me at AVM_superhero, and I'll get the information to you. Like I said, each and every month we do a lottery to give these baskets to caregivers. If you want to donate money or if you want to donate products to the basket, let me know. Trust me, it's getting used. Trust me. Thank you, sister. Love you, and we will talk again, okay?
Okay, and love is the greatest element of the universe.
Preach, preach. Talk to you later, sister. Everybody, thank you for coming out. Peace out, guys.
Thank you, everyone.